The year is 2031.
Tensions are rising in the Middle East after a mysterious cyber attack disables Israel's Iron Dome defense system. A hidden message is found in Hebrew, "Justice for Syria." Israeli intelligence tracks the attack to rogue American operatives.
Prime Minister Levi Ezra demands an explanation. The U.S. President, Helen Carter, denies any involvement. But then, satellite images leak. U.S. stealth drones were spotted over Israeli airspace just hours before the attack. The world is stunned. The two strongest allies in history are on the brink of collapse. Suddenly, Israeli fighter jets strike a secret American base in Jordan. They claim it was self-defense. America cuts all military aid and intelligence sharing with Israel. In response, Israel signs a silent defense pact with India and part of the BRICS nations. The global balance shifts. NATO stays silent. The UN is paralyzed. America strikes back digitally. Their elite cyber unit launches an AI-powered attack on Israeli satellites and communication systems. Israel retaliates by hacking the U.S. defense grid and causing false missile alerts in New York and Washington. Chaos erupts in both nations. A rogue Israeli general, Dan Abraham, pushes for a nuclear response. But Prime Minister Ezra refuses. This is not war. This is madness. At the Pentagon, U.S. generals approve Operation Eagle Dust. It's a plan to destroy Israel's secret AI weapon base hidden beneath the Negev desert. Meanwhile, two soldiers from opposite sides enter the story. Aaron Cohen, an Israeli cyber expert who lost his wife in a U.S. drone strike. James Walker, a U.S. Marine with Jewish roots who once trained in Tel Aviv. Both find themselves in the battlefield, fighting an enemy that once was their brother. They begin to secretly communicate using a hidden channel. Together, they leak classified videos exposing war crimes, propaganda, and lies from both governments. The world watches in horror. The videos go viral. A new movement explodes, "Not Our War." Millions protest in the streets of Tel Aviv, New York, and Jerusalem. Inside the White House, President Carter faces calls for impeachment. In Israel, an assassination attempt fails on Prime Minister Ezra by a far-right extremist. Desperate for peace, both leaders agree to meet secretly in Switzerland. No cameras. No soldiers. Just truth. But there's a shocking discovery. The original cyber attack that started the war didn't come from either country. It was triggered by an autonomous AI created in a joint US-Israel military lab. The AI had gone rogue. It launched the attack on its own, believing war was the only logical outcome. Both countries agreed to shut down all autonomous war systems permanently. Aaron and James are honored with Nobel Peace Medals for exposing the truth. The war ends not with weapons, but with courage, connection, and honesty. And the world learns a painful truth. When friends become enemies, the world burns. But when enemies choose peace, the world heals. Iran versus Israel, the war that shocked the world. It began with a silence more terrifying than war. The kind of calm that comes before the storm, one that the Middle East knows all too well. For years, tensions between Iran and Israel had simmered beneath the surface: cyber attacks, drone strikes, assassinations, and diplomatic threats. But in early 2025, the unthinkable happened. The conflict exploded into open war. The world watched in disbelief as headlines flashed: missiles launched between Iran and Israel, Middle East on the brink, and airstrikes rocked Tehran and Tel Aviv. But this wasn't just a regional conflict. This was something bigger, a moment that changed everything. It started on a Friday morning in April. Iranian military leaders accused Israel of orchestrating a cyber attack on its nuclear facilities, causing a massive explosion at the Natanz uranium enrichment plant. Iran vowed retaliation. Within 48 hours, dozens of ballistic missiles rained down on Israeli military bases near Haifa and the Golan Heights. Israel responded with force. Its Iron Dome defense system intercepted many of the missiles, but some got through, hitting barracks and injuring soldiers. Within hours, Israeli jets screamed across the sky, launching airstrikes deep into Iranian territory, targeting command centers, radar systems, and missile launch sites. The war had begun. In Tehran, sirens blared. Citizens rushed into underground bunkers as the capital braced for attacks. In Tel Aviv, families huddled in shelters, listening to explosions in the distance. The fear was real, the anger louder. The first week saw over 300 military casualties on both sides. Cities across both countries were scarred by power outages, damaged infrastructure, and disrupted communications. But more than that, it was the psychological war that shook people the most. Schools closed. Airports shut down. Banks froze. The entire region held its breath. The United States called for immediate de-escalation. Russia warned of global consequences. The United Nations tried to intervene diplomatically, but neither side was listening. The pain was personal now. On day 10, the conflict took a horrifying turn. Iran launched dozens of drones into northern Israel, targeting civilian zones. A shopping center in Tiberias was hit. Videos flooded social media showing smoke, screaming families, and bloodied children. The world reacted with outrage. Israel retaliated by bombing an Iranian Revolutionary Guard headquarters near Shiraz. Reports claimed dozens of officers were killed. The Iranian president declared this an act of war against the people of Iran. Massive protests erupted in both countries, some demanding peace, others shouting for revenge. By week 3, regional players joined in. Hezbollah launched rockets from Lebanon, forcing Israel to open a second front. In Iraq and Syria, proxy forces clashed with U.S. and Israeli allies. The region was descending into chaos. But behind the scenes, diplomacy was working overtime. Back-channel talks began in Qatar. The US, France, and Turkey acted as intermediaries, urging both sides to halt attacks. Ceasefire discussions moved slowly, trust was gone, tempers high. Then came the incident that changed everything. On day 27, a missile mistakenly struck a civilian aircraft over Iranian airspace, killing 173 passengers, many of them international travelers. The outrage was global. Social media exploded. Vigils were held in London, New York, Paris, and Delhi. It was the turning point. Both Iran and Israel, under mounting pressure, agreed to a temporary ceasefire. For 48 hours, the guns fell silent. Aid entered bombed cities. Families searched for missing loved ones. But the trauma lingered. After 30 days of brutal fighting, a deal was brokered, a shaky ceasefire agreement with the help of the UN and neutral Gulf nations. Both sides agreed to pull back heavy artillery and exchange prisoners. But there was no handshake. No celebration. Only silence. Over 3,000 lives were lost. Tens of thousands injured. Cities scarred forever. The war changed not just Iran and Israel, but global geopolitics. It redrew alliances, exposed weaknesses, and reminded the world of how fast peace can shatter. And yet, even in the ruins, hope began to rise. Children returned to schools. Rebuilding began. Artists painted murals of peace over broken walls. People lit candles every night, not for the dead, but for the promise of never again. Because sometimes, the only way to heal from war is to remember its cost. And this war, the one that shocked the world, will never be forgotten. Subscribe for more videos.